No one saw this coming. Not after all these years, not after all the distance, and certainly not after everything that was said and done. When Demet Özdemir finally opened up about Can Yaman, the entire world froze for a moment. It wasn't just another interview, it was a confession wrapped in pain, nostalgia, and truth. Her voice trembled, her eyes glistened, and behind every pause, there was a story the public never heard before. Demet began softly, almost whispering. Sometimes silence protects you, and sometimes it kills you. For years, fans had speculated, imagined, and filled the blanks between her and Can. Every look they once shared, every word they never said, became part of a story larger than life. But this time, Demet wasn't hiding behind the curtain of mystery. She was ready to speak, about love, loss, and the man who changed everything. She spoke about the beginning, when the world first fell in love with them. Not just as characters, but as two souls who seemed meant to meet. We didn't plan it, she admitted. It just happened. And when it did, it felt like the whole universe stopped. Her words echoed through the room, raw and unfiltered. You could tell, this wasn't rehearsed. This was real. The interviewer hesitated, unsure how far to go. But Demet, with a small smile, continued, there's a part of me that will always belong to that time. To those moments on set, the laughter, the fights, the long nights when we talked about dreams and fears. She paused, and a faint sadness filled her face. People thought it was all acting. But it wasn't, not always. That single line, it wasn't always acting, broke the internet within hours. Fans flooded social media, dissecting every frame of their old scenes, every look, every breath. It was as if Demet had just reopened a wound that the world thought had healed. But in truth, it never did, not for her, and not for Can. Behind that elegant smile, Demet had carried years of rumors, heartbreak, and silence. And now, as she finally spoke, it was clear that this wasn't just an interview, it was her way of letting go. Or maybe, holding on, one last time. As Demet continued, her voice softened, the kind of tone you use when remembering something that once meant everything. I think people will never truly understand what it was like, she said, staring down for a moment. We were young, we were overwhelmed, and everything around us was moving too fast. The fame, the expectations, the cameras that never stopped rolling, they all blurred the line between their real lives and the characters they played. What the audience saw as pure magic on screen was, for Demet, something much more complicated. We shared something beautiful, she admitted, but the world made it heavier than we could handle. She described nights when she couldn't sleep, when every rumor online felt like a knife in her chest. People wanted us together so badly, she said, that they forgot we were just human. We had our fears, our arguments, our insecurities, just like anyone else. The interviewer asked the question everyone had been waiting for, was it love? Demet didn't answer right away. She looked away, took a deep breath, and smiled sadly. Maybe it was, she whispered. Maybe it still is, in a way that doesn't fit into words. That sentence alone sent shockwaves across every social platform. Fans couldn't believe she had finally admitted it, that after years of silence, she still felt something. But the story didn't stop there. Demet revealed moments that few knew about. Private messages, late-night calls, and times when Can tried to protect her from the chaos that fame brought. He was always strong on the outside, she said softly, but I saw the version of him that the world never did, the one who doubted himself, who cared deeply, who wanted peace. And yet, somewhere between love and pressure, everything broke. There wasn't a single fight, she clarified. It was 1,000 small ones. Unspoken words, missed calls, moments when pride spoke louder than love. Her voice cracked slightly, and the audience watching could feel the weight of every memory she carried. When asked if she regretted the silence, Demet looked up and said something that no one expected, silence wasn't my choice. It was my punishment. When Demet began to talk about the past, her entire expression changed, like a wave of memories she could no longer hold back. Her eyes softened, her voice trembled slightly, and for a moment, She wasn't the actress in front of the camera. She was just Demet, a woman remembering the man who once made her heart race. It was the first day on set, she recalled, smiling faintly. I still remember how nervous I was. I had read the script 100 times, but when he walked in, I forgot every line. She laughed quietly, as if still surprised by how powerful that moment had been. He had this presence. Calm, confident, but with eyes that said more than words ever could. That first scene between them wasn't supposed to be special, just another day of filming. But everyone on the crew felt it. The air changed. There was something real in that silence between takes, Demet continued. Even when the director yelled cut, we didn't stop looking at each other. The chemistry was undeniable. It wasn't just acting, it was connection. He used to tease me a lot, she said, her smile turning nostalgic. He'd make fun of how serious I got before every scene, and then somehow, he'd make me laugh right before the camera rolled. I hated it, but that's what made everything so real. But not every memory was light. As fame grew, so did the pressure. It's strange, she said. The more people loved us, the less we could be ourselves. There were whispers on set, endless articles, and fans who blurred fiction with reality. Sometimes, she admitted, I didn't know if I was Demet talking to Can, or my character talking to his. The lines were gone. She remembered one night, late, after filming a particularly emotional scene. Everyone had gone home, but she stayed behind, sitting on the edge of the stage. He came back, she said quietly. He just stood there for a while. We didn't talk. He sat next to me and said, you know, this will never be just a job for me. I didn't answer. Because I knew exactly what he meant. Her voice cracked slightly as she added, that was the night everything changed. It wasn't about acting anymore. Demet wiped a tear from her cheek before smiling again, a fragile smile that barely held together. But maybe that's the curse of people like us, we give too much of our truth to the story, and when it ends, you don't know what part of it was real anymore. And that's when she revealed the detail that silenced everyone. The last message he ever sent me. I still have it. I never deleted it. The room went completely still. There was a long silence before Demet spoke again, the kind that carries years of things left unsaid. People think silence means peace, she said slowly, but sometimes silence is just another kind of pain. After the series ended, the world expected them to stay together, on screen, off screen, in every fan's dream. But what the world didn't see was how heavy that expectation had become. Every photo, every post, every word was analyzed, Demet explained. If I smiled, they said I was happy with him. If I didn't, they said I was heartbroken. There was no space left to breathe. She revealed that their silence wasn't planned, it simply happened. One day the calls stopped. The messages slowed. And then, she whispered, there was just nothing. It wasn't hate. It wasn't anger. It was exhaustion. We had given so much of ourselves to that world, to the people, to the story. That there was nothing left for us, she said. He went one way. I went another. And the silence became our only way of protecting what was left. But silence doesn't erase memories. She admitted there were nights when she saw his name trending and couldn't stop herself from looking. He was everywhere, she said with a faint smile. Every new project, every interview, and yet, every time I saw him, I felt like he was still saying something to me, even without words. Then came the hardest part. Demet described the day she unfollowed him on social media, the move that broke millions of fans' hearts. It wasn't about anger, she said. It was about survival. Every picture of him was a reminder of something I was trying to forget, but couldn't. Her eyes glistened again, but she kept talking. People thought I moved on. But you never really move on from something that shaped you. You just learn to live differently. The interviewer asked her if she ever thought of reaching out to him again. Demet hesitated, biting her lip. Many times, she confessed. There were nights I had the phone in my hand, his name right there, but I couldn't press call. Because I knew, once you reopen a door like that, it's never the same again. And then, almost in a whisper, she said the line that broke everyone watching, "He knows I never stopped caring. He always knew." Demet took a long pause, her eyes fixed on something far away, not in the room, but in her memories. "I never planned to talk about him again," she confessed quietly. "But sometimes silence starts to feel heavier than the truth." She explained that this moment, this interview, wasn't about reopening old wounds. It was about healing. "For years, I carried questions, guilt, and what-ifs," she said. "But love, real love doesn't disappear. It changes shape. It becomes something softer, quieter, but it never really leaves." Then she revealed something no one saw coming. The last time she saw Ken it was by accident, she said, a small, trembling smile on her lips. "We were both at an event, not planned, not expected. When our eyes met, time stopped. Just like the first day." The interviewer asked what happened next. Demet exhaled deeply, her voice shaking. "Nothing. We didn't say a word. But in that silence, I felt everything. Every apology, every memory, every unsaid thing. It was all there, in one look." Her eyes shimmered as she continued. "People think closure comes from words. But sometimes it's just a moment, a heartbeat, that tells you what you needed to know all along." She paused, smiled faintly, and said something that no fan will ever forget, "He'll always be a part of my story. Not because of what we were, but because of what we'll always be, even in silence." As she stood up, the interviewer thanked her, visibly moved. But Demet stopped him before leaving and added one final line, the one that would headline every article the next morning, "Maybe one day, when the noise fades and the world stops watching, we'll talk again. Not as actors, not as stories, but as two people who once meant everything." And with that, she smiled, not the actress's smile fans knew so well, but something deeper. Something that said goodbye, and yet, not quite. Because sometimes, endings aren't endings at all. They're just pauses in a love story the world refuses to forget.